What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 3 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Khatep Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, a few absolutely glorious battles as we took on a pretty hard Skaven horde outside of Tyrant Peak, managing to win it but losing units, and then similarly faced off against Morathi as well as another full stack. Similarly again, taking damage but managing to pull it off. Morathi fortunately is pretty much broken now, with probably that being her only 2 stacks, and we should be able to push up north and take the city of Quintex and the first book of Nagash for ourselves. Now, between the episodes, as promised, I knocked out the two little sort of remnant armies that remained, the broken sort of parts of Morathi's stacks, simply because it was a battle, or they were battles where we couldn't auto-resolve without losing units, but they had so few units it was a waste of time, and I didn't want to waste on-screen time. And the same thing at Sildred Tor. It had a garrison of this variety, but if we had auto-resolved it, it would be unnecessary damage to our units, let's say, so I just did it off screen so that we could proceed to better things. And proceed we shall. Now let's see what we gotta do this turn. Doesn't look like there's anything. No buildings, nothing, so I guess we're going next turn. And continuing after those Dark Elves. Good. End turn. And while the turn is ending, yes, once again we did reach the engagement threshold, so this episode will be an hour-ish long, and the engagement threshold still stands. 500 likes and 70 comments, and the next episode will be an hour long as well. Plus, if we maintain the streak for a couple more episodes, we'll be getting a double episode on Wednesday, so do keep that in mind if you're into that sort of thing. And we're good. Alright, nobody attacked us this turn, meaning we can... Oh, wow, we can move far. Damn. Huh, I could go straight to Grey Rock Point from here, ignoring Petrified Forest and the relatively sparse enemy units. What's the likelihood that they reclaim Sildred Tor, though? That's the thing. They're recruiting. Most likely they'll be able to get 3 units up and running. And thus would possibly go after Sildred Tor. The thing that tempts me about this is the ability to then immediately move to Quintex. Let's also move you down here, sir. Gotta get that Necrotech there. Oh man, this is so tempting. We also don't know what's here and whether it's a hard target or not. Nah, probably not. I also wouldn't want to backtrack here. Yeah, fine. Go for the Petrified Forest, and we'll go in Grey Dynasty's stance. Huh. What if we were to sack this and then attack this next turn? Is that possible? Would we have enough movement range to do it, though? I fear not, because like this we're moving along the road. Yeah, alright, let's not risk it, let's not risk it. Play it safe, go for the Petrified Forest first, and then Grey Rock Point second. It's not like these guys have anywhere to go since it's their only territory. Close victory with medium casualties means we can't risk the auto-resolve, meaning we are going to have to fight this battle here. Let's take a quick look at diplomacy and building before we do. Hexoatl is known to us, and while not ready to be friendly... Oh wow, these guys really want peace. Just out of curiosity. They're not willing to become our vassals. If they were, we might have, I don't know, given them some of this territory, but on the other hand... Dark Elves have an aversion of 25, and High Elves have an aversion to 25 both, so basically we can choose between Dark Elves and High Elves. The thing is, the Dark Elves have a tendency to ally with Chaos, which has 100 aversion to us, whereas the High Elves do not, meaning the High Elves are, generally speaking, the better option just by virtue of that. Anyway, let's quickly build an obelisk here, and I suppose we could upgrade you to a Mastaba, unless there's something... Ooh... Now, the Ancient Battle Site here is going to be more important for, well, I don't really care about the Nehekar Horsemen and the Skeleton Horsemen nearly as much as the Sepulchral Stalkers as our first Tier 3 units. You're building more Tomb Guard, and I get some Skeleton Horse Archers. I don't really care for the Skeleton Horses, I don't find them particularly useful, but the Archers are still one of those sort of nuisance units as a Skirmisher Light Cav that we can certainly put to nuisance. Anyway, I believe that's all we gotta do. There's no further buildings. Oh, we actually could still afford you, Just barely so. Alright, fine. Fine, it's gonna take 10 frickin' turns. We are also losing control here, so we'll probably need to decollect the income in a little bit. We could also, you know what? We could fix this by deleting this building and replacing it with a public order obelisk, because it'll be +4, and then this will be +4, and it'll start gaining, so I think that's the way to do it. Ooh, actually, I had another idea. What if we grab Rakash of the Second Dynasty here, who does give a control +2 for all provinces. Yes, this costs an insane amount of our canopic jars, but it is a faction-wide buff. Plus, it's not like we can afford the other army or another army capacity via jars and money, because we don't have the money anyway, so I think this is actually a good option. So we'll do that. You will fight battle now. Go. Alrighty, to the Soul Realm, not sacrifice them, something different from Khatep this time around. Anyway, here we go, facing off against Dark Elves once again, and they're going to have a pretty bad time. I'd wager, as usual, we send Khatep forward with his Sandstorm, and get that bombardment going with his Casket of Souls. Very nice ability, doing massive damage. Though now that I think about it, once Khatep is on his artillery piece, on his Casket of Souls, we're going to run into the problem of not being able to approach the enemy army in the way that we've been doing, meaning we won't get nearly as much value out of the Sandstorm as we used to before, which is kind of interesting. We'll gain the power-up of an additional casket, but lose the power-up of, or lose the power of getting a lot of mileage out of that particular ability. But you know what? Things being trade-offs isn't necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, our Flock of Jeff move on in, flying over the biggest blob of enemies they can find and dropping those bombs upon them, while they leave the rest of the enemy army behind and go for this poor isolated unit of Dark Shards. Carrion aren't a particularly strong unit, but harassing a single unit of Dark Shards who are very weak in melee should be right up their alley. Out here, there's a unit of Shades, probably the biggest threat on the field, other than the enemy lord. Actually, possibly more than the enemy lord, since the enemy lord isn't a sorcerer. And we get a nice charge into them with our Necropolis Knights, taking about half of their HP before moving on to the next unit. Once again, against the basic infantry, the Necropolis Knights are just fantastic on the charge, and they can sort of bounce back and forth between multiple units and just go over and over again. Around and round the snakes go. Where they stop, well, we do know. Once everybody's dead, that's when they'll stop, but they're working on it. Anyway, those charges have, as we can see, done plenty of damage, and the snakes can continue in that manner. The army also separated itself by foolishly sort of deploying around this little, I don't know, little Dark Elven outpost here. And that's going to come back to bite them. Some chariots have joined the Carrion. The Carrion were going to be able to deal with the Dark Shards in time, but of course it was also going to take quite a bit of time, and the charge from the chariots helped that out nicely. There's another Skullstorm coming down, or Sandstorm coming down, and speaking of chariots, here comes another unit of theirs charging through those shades, preventing them from firing. And working together with the Necropolis Knights to get more Dark Elven air. Beautiful. Alrighty, gotta love the mobile army that we've got. The enemy lord's been taking Spirit Leech after Spirit Leech as well, and is now down to below half HP. I don't think that Dreadlord is going to achieve much, but while she might be pretty much done for, the, well, at least a few of the enemy units will make it to our battle line. Skeleton Spears will face off against Dread Spears, while the Sphinx of Usek bounds toward, my lord, that's a scary sight, especially considering the sheer mass of the construct. There we go. The Sphinx of Usek bounds towards the enemy lord. Another Spirit Leech comes down, and I do believe Alyssa will either be destroyed or will shatter. And just as she does, so will the rest of her army. Easy, a little battle. The enemy absolutely demolished as the chariots rip apart and divide and conquer their back line. And those Spirit Leeches, once again, working out real well for us. Very nice. Alrighty, there we go. Absolute slaughter. You got to love a big old wide open field for your fast movers to maneuver around, and certainly makes it a lot easier than lots of difficult terrain to deal with. And great job to Khatep and the army. We'll occupy the place and get some of those canopic jars that we've been using back. Another banner of swiftness, which is both great and a shame because we still can't use more than one banner of the same type in an army. I don't personally particularly like that limitation. I think it should be removed, but well, here's hoping. There's a lot of things that we're all, I'm sure, hoping for to be added someday. Anyway, let's see. Lich Priest of Light, you are going to... I mean, we could move through some of this stuff, like get Exorcism so that we could get into Evasion, which I do believe is what we did with you, yes? Yeah, we did go into Evasion with you because you lack Canopic Jar Hoarder. I mean, fine, let's get Exorcism and into Evasion, get the other guy Canopic Jar Holder, and then take both of them into Ceremonial Bandages and Trapped Soul. Trapped Soul in particular, the Terror and the Spell Resistance will be useful due to miscasting potential. Sildrator, you will be knocked out next turn, assuming that the Kislevites here don't immediately kill ya. And we'll have to see. We have 3 turns left of Endless March. Ooh, meaning we won't be able to immediately hit Quintex. Oh! Though if we ignore Grey Rock Point, we could hit Quintex from here in a single bound. I'll think about it. On the other hand, this would give these guys a chance to rebuild. And, oh wow, they already have a fairly solid stack there, Blackguard and Nagaron included. We'll have to be wary of that at least, somewhat. Anyway, how are you doing, buddy? Starting to build our first Tomb Guard. It'll be a little bit before we get them in decent numbers, but, well, we want Khatep to at least have, I don't know, 4 to 6 of them. Plus a decent bit of artillery and those Hyro Titans, though those will take a while. Otherwise, assuming that there's no diplomacy, and yes, I'm checking it again this turn, just to see. Pathological like that. We'll end the turn and get Mr. Rakash on the field. We'll briefly replace this guy, Rahobi, I guess, but we'll get somebody... We'll get him back in a little bit, shortly. End turn. Alright, now let's see if Cyrus stays at Grey Rock Point or decides to run away. That's going to be an interesting question. And hey, heroes, go away. Whatever you're doing, stop it. I don't appreciate it. And Sisters of Twilight want us to... Oh, they do join the war against the Daughters of the Forest. Alright, that's fine, that's fine. It may not actually be the worst thing in the world. We probably will do this, just not right now. Let them fight it out. If the Sisters of the Forest... I was hoping actually to vassalize them, but if the Sisters of the Forest, or Daughters of the Forest? Wait. Sisters of Twilight, Daughters of the Forest. It's confusing, okay? My brain no works so good. Yes, Dynasty researched Rakash. Let's get you replacing Mr. Rahobi briefly, who is nearly ready with a full stack as well. Get you another skeleton archer for now, I guess. Then we're going to replace you with Mr. Rakash. Not Senefret. Here we go. Rakash, I want that control +2 for all provinces. I'm also curious about whether... looking pretty good, buddy. Whether you have anything unique in your skill line. Alright, so you have this stuff. Plunderer of the East. Canopic Jars per turn, yeah, but you only get it at rank 15. Ooh, speed +5% all armies. That's nice. That's real nice. Sacrifices to Tra gives you Headhunter. Poison of Sokth makes you more powerful. Magic item drop chance and come from post-battle loot. Yeah, it looks like you're a solid fighter. Weapon strength +20% for Lord's Army. Income from all buildings +10% to all regions faction-wide at the cost of some leadership. Ooh. This guy's good. This guy's real good. The question about him, however, is what exactly kind of army do we want for him? Because the... Basically, since he doesn't buff any type of unit in particular, we can do anything we want with him. Is he on a steed? Speed 75, yes, he's on a steed. Anti-large, duelist, and I think it says in here. Lord Pool on steed with sword and halberd, yeah, so presumably he's on just a regular mount. Oh, this guy starts on a War Sphinx, which is nice as well. We're up to 129% research. Also get another Necrotech going, but let's get Wisdom of the First Dynasty down to 1, and then we may move through Wisdom of the Third Dynasty as well, and then pop both in. There's potential for that. I wonder how long we could last, wink. Not enough Slanesh giggles this campaign yet. I wonder how long we could last with just building up all the dynasties down to 1 turn remaining, and then bam, pop them all off at once. I am tempted to try it. We could probably win a decent bit of the battles without relying on the techs, so there's still potential for it. Anyway, Khatep, you got yourself another date with Dark Elves. Mommy's down for now, but we'll hit Grey Rock Point with you. It's a lot of enemies, but we do have the Sphinx, we do have the Casket of Souls, we do have the Sandstorm. So we should. Oh, what the heck is this? Why did you build 1,000,000 Dark Riders? That's not gonna work out so well for you. They're too fragile, unfortunately for you. Anyway, what I was saying before I'd interrupted myself like 16 times was with regards to the Daughters of the Forest, if the Sisters of Twilight don't completely destroy them, we might be able to take one of their settlements and build it up. And build it up to like tier 3 and then maybe possibly vassalize these guys. So there is that option. We'll have to keep an eye on what's going on. And vassals are really, really good for Tomb Kings, especially in the early game. Vassals provide you tribute, which isn't usually a lot, but you can get like 100 to like 300 to 500, depending on the size of the faction, which you've vassalized. And obviously in the early game, especially free money for Tomb Kings is a big deal. Anyway, we got a big old fight with nearly 2 stacks, valiant defeat, casualties high. Let's see about that. Yeah. Alrighty, here we go. We eased into the episode with the previous minor settlement battle against the Cult of Pleasure, but Sildrator has quite a bit more right against us. And where the Dark Riders would not be particularly useful in a minor settlement defense, them not having a garrison structure here means that they get to use them on the field, where they can take advantage of their maneuverability. This does mean we'll need to be quite careful and not allow them to hit our skeletal archers or surround and destroy our Casket of Souls. Gotta remember the caskets are pretty darn fragile. Their HP is only at 4.2k, so you really have to protect them, or else the AI can and will find them and kill them. And considering how difficult they are to get and how much they cost, it's not a great thing. At least, well, if you're not careful with them. Anyway, we're gonna start the battle off with, as usual, a Spirit Leech and a Skullstorm, all while Khatep and still move relatively quick on his mount. I do like their reddish sort of color scheme on these guys, though. It's actually quite nice. I got used to Dark Elves using sort of greens and purples, then blues and variants of shades. But the red looks quite nice on them. Good job, Sildrator. Though, not good job for too much longer, as we're looking to destroy you fairly quick. Out here, our single unit of skeletal archers, the other unit having been destroyed, is just annoying the enemy Dark Riders. They're not going to do too much damage to them, but we're hoping to lead the Dark Riders towards our main line. And we're still waiting. A few more Dark Riders are out here, and we might be looking to catch them with the Necropolis Knights while we maintain distance with our Lord and continue dropping those Spirit Leeches on the enemy Lord. Spirit Leech spam. Really helpful here, as we once again have a rather difficult time killing off single entities, at the very least until they make their way now towards the Sphinx of Vusek, who is, I'm sure, patiently waiting. Or maybe not so patiently anymore, as some Dark Riders do chase down our chariots. They do manage to catch them, and despite their anti-infantry nature, and do a fair bit of damage, but will take the charge from the Sphinx, and arrows aplenty from our skeletal archers. Just gotta back the chariots off, lest this unit get destroyed as well. We ride through our own skeletal spears, who take the charge from the Dark Riders and then lock them down with their anti-large spears. Our poor chariot unit does begin to crumble away with 8 out of 12 units remaining, but hopefully that's sufficient units for the chariot to rally and stay alive. We shall see. And do an interesting little maneuver from the Dark Riders here, but we drop a little bit of Casket of Souls action on them, and that heavily damages them, clipping our own units of Nehekara warriors, mind you, but once again, we need to somehow be able to activate Realm of Souls, so you gotta do what you gotta do. More Dark Riders have arrived and have charged our skeletal warriors, and more Dark Riders are attempting to get around them, while similarly, even more Dark Riders are facing off against our Nehekara horses and our Necropolis Knights around Khatep and his priests. We've kept Khatep out here, and the priests as well, just to continue the Spirit Leech spam, as well as continue dropping the sandstorms. On the bright side, however, we do have the, once again, summoning of the skeletal warriors from the priests, so we can get a second little line out here to distract the enemy Dark Riders and melee, while our Necropolis Knights continue causing absolute havoc. There we go. These Necropolis Knights have been absolute stars in the beginning of this campaign. There we go. I mean, so have the chariots and the Nehekara horsemen, rather, but let's be real here. And not compared to these guys. Very nice, and it looks like the units out in this open field have been absolutely decimated by the combination of 2 units of Nehekara warriors, 2 units of melee chariots, and Necropolis Knights, especially now that we had the sort of anvil of the summoned skeletal warriors. Khatep and his priests are moving away, though it does look like a Death Hag has them in his sight, in her sights rather, and will be chasing them down. The Blackguard of Nagaron have joined the fray as well. And they also look great with this particular color scheme. Oh. Stop praising the enemy, Ruinous. No. Alrighty, anyway. The Blackguard of Nagaron, have finally activate their murderous mastery, and they should be able to rip that unit of skeletal spears apart with absolutely no issue. Our skeletal warriors hold the line against the Druki main line, though they are looking to overrun our relatively limited numbers of skeletal and Nehekara warriors. That's alright though, they're here to be sacrificed once again, just the nature of playing the Tomb Kings, and the longer they hold and the more they sacrifice, the more Realm of Souls we get and the more time we get to obliterate the enemy backline with our fast movers and our artillery. Frankly, we'll most likely soon move the skeletal archers out of this particular army, as it's really not so much an archer-based army. Frankly, when our second army comes in to sort of transfer all the Tomb Guard to Khatep, we'll probably just transfer all the skeletal archers out and deal with the enemy with a combination of artillery, i.e. the Screaming Skull Catapult and Caskets. I'll probably get a couple of Screaming Skull Catapults as well. Alrighty, and how are we looking now? The bounce power is at about 80% in our favor. A lot of the enemy units are distracted, and the Dark Riders have, by and large, been at the very least heavily damaged, if not destroyed. It looks like the Death Hag did manage to catch one of our Lich Priests of Death, funnily enough, and do quite a bit of damage, probably annoyed that said Lich Priest has killed off the enemy Lord with that Spirit Leech spam. But hey, it all works. Another enemy Master will be a victim of the Necro Sphinx. You're not getting away from that one, I think, especially not on foot. Ouch. Alrighty, well done. You gotta love watching those massive constructs do their work. They sort of have a different air about them than the giant monstrous, biological giant monstrous units, because of the way they move and such. And they've always been pretty awesome. But yeah, just aesthetically, Tomb Kings are just fantastic. Gotta love those Ushabti as well, and of course we'll be building an Ushabti heavy army. And there we go, wade into those Dread Spears as they run with those massive Kopeshes and rip them apart. Beautiful, and I do believe with that the battle is ours. The last of the enemies will shatter, run down by our fast movers. We've certainly taken damage, but the nature of the early game Tomb Kings is you pretty much always will. Still worth it. Our experience rises, and so do our elite units with time. Alrighty, there we go. A very nice fight. The Blackguard of Nagaron absolutely cleaned house, but they're a very tough unit and much more elite than anything we have other than these three elites back here. We lost a few units, but sacrificing our mainline infantry is necessary, A, to activate the Realm of Souls, and B, to, well, hold back the tide, while our fast movers do the damage, and do damage they did, with the Nehekar Horsemen, by the looks of it, taking the prize in terms of damage, the Flock of Jeff following suit, and at 65k, once again, those Necropolis Knights being absolute monsters. Occupy the place and destroy Sildrator thereby. Khatep has a skeleton chariot, but it's the casket that we really want. Otherwise, he doesn't look DJ enough, at least not for our purposes. Now, yeah, okay, I was just taking a look at the Ushabti thing. Now, what we have here is more potential for more Tomb Guard. Now, we have 2 points available anyway. I guess Tomb Guard and Steed Reanimation for even more power for the Nehekara Horsemen. We'll also want to get into Sun-Scorched Bones relatively shortly, as it will power up Tomb Guard as well, giving them melee defense and armor, which they desperately need. Alright, while we're here, we should probably rebuild some of the lost units, and ow! We captured a military structure. That's for most factions not necessarily a good thing. For our faction, kind of a good thing. All right, so we'll do 1, 2, and delete you, and build another spear. All right, very nice, very nice indeed. Huh? Khatep has 1 turn global recruitment now. Interesting. Is it because we got a skill that's allowing us to do this? I think we did, but I don't remember where it is. Well, either way, I'm happy about it. Let's see. The Lich Priests got pretty badly damaged. We really got to be careful with these guys. They're so darn fragile. But well, what can you do? I did say that I want a Canopic Jar Holder for you, but let's do Ceremonial Bandages and Trapped Soul first, and then the other stuff after. And you only have the 1 point. You were going to go for Evasion, then we'll do the other 2 after as well. Alrighty, looks good to me. We'll see if we can't get back to the Petrified Forest and here to Ancient City of Quintex. We'll also be using this Skeleton Horse Archer unit as a sort of holdover until we're ready for new units. Now, Rakash. We got 1 turn until we get a Screaming Skull Catapult available. But either way, we can build 2 more Tomb Guard. You're going to take a long time to build at this rate. But it's still probably a good idea to do so. You know, cancel one of these, build 2 more Tomb Guard. And I guess we'll delete one of these next turn for that Screaming Skull Catapult and whatever else we want to put in here. Granted, a decent pile of these units are going to go to Khatep, but we'll wait on that. Now, I'm now wondering, would we want to replace the skeleton archers with skeletal horses? They will do less damage, but they can annoy the enemy and reposition themselves quite a bit easier, even if they do less damage. Out of curiosity, your missile strength is 10 and 5 with 7.6 reload time. Yours is 20 and 5 with 10.8 reload time. Yeah, but I guess the issue with these guys is it depends on their accuracy, because if they shoot at a single unit, as these types of cavalry and missile chariots tend to do, then it's not super useful because they'll just miss all their shots anyway. Anyway, Sildrator, we'll keep the Charnel Plaza for now, but I think we have to get rid of the Mortuary House. At least temporarily, just because we'll need to build public order buildings here. All the Slaneshi stuff, these guys ain't happy about. We could upgrade one of these immediately, but I feel like there's better things to upgrade right now, like the obelisk here, because we need public order in order to keep, well, collecting income here. Here we're okay. And we're just waiting to build up that ancient battle site to get ourselves a few of those lovely sepulchral stalkers. They'll definitely be able to hold the tide back. Now, what do we have in terms of garrison here? The Black Guard unit. Morathi will probably be back by the time we're done here. Also, oh, because you're recruiting, you lost your Great Dynasty stance, meaning you don't heal as much. I guess we'll have to make use of that next turn. But anyway, assuming that there is no Diplo. Exoatl even trying to be even friendlier. Sorry, Mazda, but you're holding a book. We're kind of pigeonholed into attacking you. Not necessarily because I want to, but because we kind of have to. I'm kind of same with Morathi now. She only has the one settlement and it's Quintex, so it is what it is. We'll have to find other allies and vassals. Outpost available, yes, I know, we'll build it. Especially since we can get free Wood Elf units, but let's face it, we don't have a lot of Wood Elf... So it still refuses to give us a mission. We don't have a lot of allegiance right now anyway. So we wouldn't be able to build too many units, so enter. And, oh damn, I forgot about the Necrotect. Well, okay. Watch him get immediately assassinated. Also, we have to get him to actually perform an action, because, I wonder, does checking ruins count as an action? Oh, they're already trying to assassinate him. Not great, but we'll see. Hopefully we can hold him off. Oh, and I see the main army of the Daughters of the Forest there. I wonder who will win between our defensive allies and them. War Weary. Negative growth, all provinces faction-wide. You have got to be kidding me. I feel like I've been having really bad luck with events in the past few campaigns. Just lots and lots of super negative events. And our previous negative event just ended, the one that was giving us minus 20% research. And now we get minus 25% growth, which is arguably even worse. Oh, game. Why you do this? Alright, well, either way, we can't reach Quintex, but we can head to the Remnants of Battle here. I think Remnants of Battle is without a... yeah, your army will perform better in battle, do it. And which gives us heavy iron. Nice. Alright, land back. There's no other island here, right? You know, Skull Island would be real nice. You're gonna go into Great Dynasties. And, ooh, actually, well... we've no choice because we'd suffer attrition. Alright, now, how much would it cost to attempt to search these ruins? 425. Ah, it's expensive. You know what? You can reach Khatep's army. I think we're just going to delete this skeleton. And then pop you in there. And I want to see if this activates our mortuary cult ability. Not mortuary cult, our rights. Does count as an action, and does indeed count as an action, so we do have the Great Incantation of Tra available, and can now recruit or take a settlement at Tier 3. The question is, what's the best way to do this? We could do Quintex at Tier 3 rather than at Tier 2, which is what we're about to do now, however... Obelisk. However... as it's a 4 settlement province and it has a port, it'll probably grow decently well. Exoatl is another option, or we raise Arnheim, take it at Tier 3, and then try to trade it to the Wood Elves with a bunch of stuff in it for vassal. And this could be a decent way to do it. I think I kind of like that idea. It would be really nice to be getting tribute from these guys. Plus, there's a bunch of Wood Elf units that might work rather nicely with ours, and they'll once again hold back potentially a tide of enemies coming southwards, so there's that. Also, while we're checking for enemies, let's double check Diplo. I feel like I check Diplo every other turn, or every turn, and nothing... there's never anything good, but oh well. Yo. Time for a Screaming Skull Catapult. Yes? Yes, we have... oh, it only takes 1 turn? Oh, that's lovely. I was worried it would take 2, but this I am happy about. Yes to the Screaming Skull Catapult, and the rest of this is fine. We got 5 turns until the Necroserpent nests. Oh, 4 turns until the Necroserpent nest. Our public order just went up. But probably not something we're waiting on. We will, however, see how many Tomb Guard with halberds we're able to build. Whether it's 1 or whether it's more, depending on how Khatep's actual skill point works. It'd be nice if it's all types. Okay, I don't know. I just have to keep checking Diplo. I know it's kind of annoying, but I can't stop it. It's a nervous tick. Anyway, Plane of Spiders and a Rothkar Spire. We could upgrade one of you at cost, mind you, but it is our starting province and the best place to upgrade stuff, especially since we actually want to move these military buildings out of these places. So, yeah, Titan Peaks. Kind of disinclined to upgrade anything here, but. Where's Petrified Forests? Right here. Petrified Forest should be reasonably safe, so let's upgrade you. Wish you weren't so expensive, but what can you do? Also, there's no rebellions coming in, is there? Doesn't look like it, at least not for now. Alright, that's fine then. That frickin' negative growth is really bothering me, but oh well. Outpost available, and I believe we can end turn, so end turn we shall. See how these guys do. Alright, now if the Wood Elves completely destroy these guys, it'll be something of a problem. Oh, I don't even know what Mother of Stanka's defeat trait is. Peace Treaty, no. This'll just piss off Grumbrindle, and we have to keep him happy as he's sort of covering our northern borders. If he be out, it looks like this is your Twilight 1. Oh, they're liable to destroy this faction before we get there. Well, there goes that plan. Well, we'll see how long it takes them. Marathi is back. We get a Banner of the Hidden Dead, Vanguard deployment in stock. Are you able to give this to a Necrosphinx? I wonder. If we had Snipe, I'd give it to the Casket of Souls, but this should still be good. Yeah, that's good, and we can indeed reach City of Quintex now. Is there anything else we want to do? We have no additional regiments of renown. I guess we just go. Alright. Over here. I am, however, willing to see whether they'd be willing to fight a field battle rather than a siege battle. Would be more fun. So we'll start building these. We'll see if they were willing to go on the field. Which would be better for us. Next up, you. I wanted to test this. We are able to build... just the 1 Tomb Guard with halberds. Oh, well. I think we can wait. I'd rather start ferrying these guys southward to Khatep and retrofit his army so that's a little bit stronger. So, King Rakash, 'tis time to travel, sir. Also, while we're here, build that Necroserpent nest, and then you can come back and then build some more stuff after you've ferried all this stuff to Khatep. I guess the question is it better to move this way? Well, I guess since the Sisters of Twilight destroyed their main army, it hardly matters. At least this way we can move down here and potentially colonize Sulfurettes. And Khatep would be able to close the distance or go there faster anyway, so yeah, go down here. Go down here, sir. And just to keep an eye out, yeah, nobody's colonized anything here, which is still fine. Alright. Alright, new turn, so let's check Diplo yet again. And there's still nothing, really. Daughters of the Forest wants a trade agreement. Hexoatl wants to be friendly. And Strategic Threat was going to keep on rising, which ain't so great. But, well, just the nature of the game. You, stay besieging. See if we can't force the enemy outside. I guess you can... You know what? Let's build that up next turn. I think we can reduce it further by having... Khatep reduce it. Also, you're about to be completed, meaning we're gonna switch you to reduce the construction costs. Maybe build that Royal Barracks for another Tomb Guard. And then delete it later for, you know, better stuff. I like another one of these for more Sepulchral Stalkers. Gotta get those Necroserpents up and running. Building upgrades, outposts in turn. Marathi, come on out. She's gonna offer peace, but that's cute, but the only... Well, I mean, we wouldn't even take vassalage because we need the book, so... Decline, and she will not sally out. Alright, it's her problem. And she let us build things, or siege towers and stuff, so, yeah. The one issue with this is it's gonna take us an extra couple of turns to go over here, but oh well. These guys are down to 2 settlements. Hexoedel performed some rites. Sword of Cain claimed Nocrosith. Is that the Lord of the Scourge of Cain? Yeah, it is. Alright. Is that a skull? No. Damn. Alright, from a distance... I need my eyes checked. From a distance, I thought this looked like a skull island, okay? Nobody judge me. Alright. Ancient City of Quintex, I guess we're hitting ya. Decent defenders, but, well, with the Sphinx and stuff that we got in our army now, we should be fine. Away we go. Alrighty, here we go, another lovely looking Dark Elven city to bury in the sands or remake in our own image. And for once we'll get to use the siege towers of the Tomb Kings, which have always looked pretty darn fantastic. They do have a lot of wood on them. I'm surprised they're not more of the sort of stone and marble variety. I mean, considering the Tomb Kings can build these massive constructs and get them to move, I am surprised that the siege towers are so wooden. Also, wouldn't the wood be relatively scarce? And I guess I guess they'd want to use a lot of it on the chariots, which are fairly wooden as well. But anyway, here we go. Oh, also I want to take a quick look at the ram here, as well as the towers. Yeah, these guys are great. Got some hieroglyphs on the sides of the ram as well. I'm not sure how well protected the interior of the ram is. Ooh, and they've got a sort of snake around the battering ram's sort of ram aspect, that thing. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna head directly towards the gate, fortunately with the Sphinx of Usek to batter it down. We should be looking pretty good here, and the Spirit Leech spam begins once more, with Morathi as the target. Bombardment will begin, but we will speed this up a little bit as it's gonna take time to get to the enemy settlement otherwise. Morathi's taken 2 Spirit Leeches now, and it's just going to continue. Gonna be a bit while we work through that gate, but it's now down to half, and our siege towers have arrived to start disgorging skeletal warriors up there. This is pretty much a death sentence, for the skeletal warriors, as they won't survive up here, but that's just fine. We want that Realm of Souls activation. A unit of Ushabti will be really helpful once we break down the gate and are able to enter the enemy settlement. Alright, and here comes one of Morathi's spells. A Doombolt gonna come down right on that blob of skeletal warriors, taking more than half of their HP out. Fortunately, at least this unit is still alive. Well, alive is a strong word. And are currently holding back an enemy Death Hag and a unit of Dread Spears. Nope, a unit of Bleak Swords as well. Well, just keep distracting the enemy, because we've made our way in with our constructs. Ooh, oh my lord. Sphinx of Usek impales an enemy infantry unit on one of its blades, and then sends it flying before cutting it in half. An absolutely brutal death for that particular Dark Elf. I'm definitely going to try to make sure that I get a good look at these sort of infantry kill animations on a lot of our constructs. The Ushabti have a pretty fantastic sort of a Kopesh one as well, which is similar to that of the Necro Sphinx, where it picks up an infantry unit and slices it in half with both Kopeshes. It's pretty great. We'll see a lot more of that when we, buff up our Ushabti numbers, which we'll definitely do. Sphinx of Usek still smashing around enemy infantry, and here come the enemy Furies, but this seems like a time to drop a Skullstorm. It will kill off one of our own units, as we did send a unit of Skeletal Spears, but it's going to catch so many more enemies that it's most definitely worthwhile. Plus, Realm of Souls. There we go. Very, very nice Skullstorm. Did I call these guys Furies? Harpies. Skullstorm will do so much damage to the enemy army that it relatively early will activate that murderous prowess, which is good for us as the Black Guard of Nagash are still moving to get into the battle, and thus did not or will not be able to take advantage of their murderous mastery. Our Necropolis Knights have charged away from the sort of mass where they are safe now from the Black Guard of Nagash and will be obliterating isolated units who just explode into gobbets of meat under the charge of those knights. Absolutely fantastic. Why else are they out here? Morathi is out here, having lost about half her HP to Spirit Leeches, but will now be surrounded by the serpents, and hopefully ripped apart before she can cast too many more spells. Black Guard of Nagash have at last made their way into the fray, and we do have to be careful with the Sphinx of Usekh, especially as we do not yet have the recovery ability on our Necrotect. Let me just see here, wait. Okay, we got more units. Man, it's really hard to spot anybody in here. Lich Priest. There he is. I was trying to find the Necrotect. Yeah, so he does have the poison, but the recovery ability is, well, I believe acquired relatively early in the skill tree, but we need to level him up first. Anyway, forward we go. Back here, the Flock of Jeff have distracted 2 units of Dark Shards, and the Skeletal Chariots have charged through the gate and have mowed them down as well. Morathi's down to about a third of her HP. The Master, the Death Hag, and the Black Guard of Nagash are still fighting, but the Ushabti have joined them in the fight at last, hitting the Black Guard of Nagash in the back. And while this is actually a solid matchup for the Black Guard, in the sense that they could probably kill off a single unit of Ushabti themselves without too much trouble, they are still surrounded. And I just don't think it's going to go well for them. Back there, Morathi is down to the dregs of her HP, down to about 10%. The Necropolis Knights have not let up, and neither have the Spirit Leeches, and we should be able to run her down, or at the very least, force her to shatter. The balance of power is at about 90%, and Quintex is looking to fall shortly. There we go, Ushabti and Sphinx of Usekh, some decent numbers of constructs working together at last. Well, I mean, we've had the Necro Serpents since the very start, but, you know. The Necro Serpents feel a little bit different since they have riders, or at the very least the Necropolis Knights. We'll get Sepulchral Stalkers shortly, and then there will be Necro Serpents without riders. Anyway, by the looks of it, the Black Guard are out. Morathi is done and has shattered, and the battle for Quintex ends in our favor. Oh, looks like this unit of Boltors is still shattering. We've got a surprisingly decent sort of value out of the Flock of Joff in this particular army. Once again, I don't tend to use Carrion because they're a little bit lackluster as a unit, but the Flock is pretty okay, especially since they apply flammable and have those bombs drop in. Plus, even if they die, we can get them back later. Alright, very nice, and so falls the city of Quintex. Morathi did certainly give us a fight, 14k damage and 116 kills on her, primarily from using her Doombolt ability on the skeleton spears up on the walls, which were blobbed up nicely and thus took a lot of damage. As usual, our Necropolis Knights came in very, very handy, and frankly, so did the Sphinx of Usekh and our Flock of Joff, basically our elite units. And usually, perhaps, the Casket of Souls and the Archers didn't do too much. The Archers, partly due to my mistake, as I thought the towers would get to the enemy settlement a little bit quicker, and 2 of our Skeleton Archers were in those towers. And then, of course, the Casket, well, there wasn't really a perfect firing solution for it, but that's alright, as Khatep was able to pick up the splash damage via Sandstorm anyway, so it all worked out. Occupy. And with that, Morathi's faction should be destroyed. Get a free Obsidian Locket, spell resistance from you, and the 8th book of Nagash's Hours. Effectiveness of all commandments plus 50%, pretty good. Probably one of the better books of Nagash. There's one that gives you 5 Tomb Guard, 5 Halberd Tomb Garden in 5, I want to say Ushabti or something else. Capacity plus something else, that one's fantastic. If you get it early, it just kicks off your campaign massively. Probably more so than this one does, but still, 50% commandments is an extra 3 public order whenever we use the public order commandment, for example, which is pretty darn solid. Anyway, let's give this a read. Nehekara rallied its forces in defense, and the war ground on for many years, seemingly deadlocked. You know what, actually, I'm going to read the books in order once we have them, or depending, because the books are telling a sort of story, so they should be read consecutively rather than starting with the 8th, which is feeling a little bit weird. And, hey, did we capture military structure? We did. Okay, that explains the Tomb Guard presence. I'm not entirely sure we need any more. Let's go to construction reduction. And I guess the question is, do we need to build anything here? I mean, in theory, we just want to replace these. We can't build Nehekara warriors if we replace the Tomb Guard building, which I think we will do here. And we'll want to upgrade the Vaults of Quintex up as soon as we have it up and running. Oh, you know what? I think this place is probably the place that I should have done the Necrotech thing, because then we would have started with the Vaults of Quintex at tier 3. Alright, anybody doing this, then do that. Raise Quintex and use the Necrotech to do it instead. I got kind of caught up in the idea of taking Arnheim and doing that tier 3 to trade to these guys to try to get vassalage, which, if it works out, will have been a good idea, but if it doesn't, then we've wasted a lot of potential money and time while we wait for this to go up to whatever tier we need it up at. Anyway, let's see what else we got to do this turn. King Rakash, you can still continue to move southward. And I guess if we upgrade this thing, the Royal Barracks, we could get another Halberd Tomb Guard. Here we've got nothing, though we will be able to upgrade these things in a couple of turns, so that's something. So nothing but something. Yeah, fine, get the Royal Barracks. Now, do we go for the Ushabti building? A couple of early Ushabti would be nice. It's not a lot of them. Or the Tomb Scorpion Nest. Frankly, in my opinion, it's usually better to build the Royal Menagerie building, the Necro Serpent building. Yeah, it only gives us a couple of Sepulchral Stalkers, but A, they're good. And B, this gives us, this goes up to tier 4, whereas these things, because they're tier 3, will eventually be deleted from the, from these locations. And 2 Sepulchral Stalkers is probably better than a single unit of Ushabti. If we don't upgrade to the Bow Ushabti. Yeah, you know what, let's build another Necro Serpent Nest. We'll get plenty of Ushabti as we go anyway. Mortiferous Sanctuary. Oh, right. Do we actually have to switch commandments for it to be further reduced? Huh. We do, don't we? This was 2,000, it's down by 10%. Okay, well, whatever. It's not a big deal. Well, we'll switch commandments later on anyway. In fact, switch commandments briefly right now, and we'll go back. And I guess we have to do the same thing here, don't we? Yeah. Alright, that's fine. Switch commandments, and then we'll switch right back. Everybody switch commandments, I guess. And the Scarpel's Lair, until we have Sulfurets, we have no commandment, so you're fine. Ashen Coast, we will build stuff once it's cheaper. And Sildra Tor, similar thing with you. Do we need to keep the Ancient Battle Site here? I think not. In fact, we could probably place the Crypt Barracks here instead once we have sufficient public order buildings. That looks good to me. Another diplomacy check, because we haven't had enough of those. Haggrief still wants peace, and everything else seems fine to me.
Glade Lord, at your service.
Their option would be to vassalize these guys, but frankly, with their territory having been completely destroyed by the Wood Elves, maybe it's not super necessary. Unassigned skill points, building upgrades. Ooh, wait, is it Khatep? No. Everybody but Khatep has assigned skill points. You need to immediately get Restore to be able to heal up the Sphinx. And the passives are nice, especially the missile resistance. Yeah, we'll start with Stone Shaper for the missile resistance, but we gotta get the increased mobility as fast as possible. Also, Khatep, I'm frankly not a big fan of you on the Chariot, mostly because you need to be able to reposition yourself a little bit better. So we'll keep you on the Skeletal Steed for now. You're only 3 levels away from your from your casket anyway. Otherwise, we're good to end the turn, so end the turn we shall. And just hope that Mazdamundi doesn't declare war on us right now, because we're busy. Haggrief is about as strong as us, with a balance of power roughly even. Then they have to keep an eye on that. And the fact that it's even between us and the dwarfs is actually probably a decent thing, as it likely means... Huh, did they just lose another territory? Can't quite tell. Something happened over here, but I don't know what it was. No, they still hold Arnheim. They still at war. They are still at war. Alright, Highborn of Khemri for King Rakash. You will go down to Sulfuret's town and occupy it or colonize it. While Khatep moves into, I guess, as close to these guys as possible, right to there, but still staying in this territory to reduce the construction costs. Now, in terms of the construction, first we'll build up Soldier Tor for 960, pretty solid. Grey Rock Point, we'll need to start with public order and allow it to sort of fix itself, and then we'll get other stuff. We'll keep the Charnel Plaza for one more turn here, because I'd like to see whether we can head to Moonshard. We do have to watch out for these guys besieging Arnheim, though. Arnheim's the place we want to give to these guys, because it has a harbor, and I feel like that'll make it worth more, maybe? I mean, I guess technically this place has a harbor as well. But either way, who does this get summoned upon? Will be summoned to your faction leader, so we could summon it right now, but at 2.2k, I think there was something else we wanted to build for money, and now it escapes me. Oh, you need to switch back commandments, you need to switch back commandments, and you don't have a commandment for another turn. Your commandment is the good commandment, and outright, public order. Distracted myself. Diplomacy. Let's get you, and we're looking good. Then tech. Now, Wisdom the First Dynasty is available, but we're at 136 research rate, and I think we're going to just do this and leave you at 1. Maybe we'll do like a couple of them, instead of doing all 7, which might be a little bit much. But I think for now we're doing okay, and the extra army wouldn't actually be all that useful for us, at least not until enemies start taking territories here, or until Torox declares war on us, necessitating we do something. For now, 2 armies should be sufficient to attack Mazdamundi, especially as long as... Oh. Ulthuan's in trouble. If we declare war on these guys, and maybe even trade some territories back from the Dread Fleet to the Elves, we might be able to get friendly with the Ulthuan Elves, get some trade agreements going with them. Could be a nice idea as well. Anyway, skip unassigned skill points. Skip building upgrade available. Skip outpost available because we're saving the money. And we'll wait until next turn to build a bunch of stuff so we can end the turn again. Yes, yes, yes. End turn. Alright, now Sisters of Twilight. Will you attempt to go for Arnheim or will you not? I mean, at the end of the day, we should still be able to take one of these places. And just remains to be seen which. I mean, suppose if we go over here and oh, Mother of Stank is back. But she's in the water. Ooh, wait. If we are able to reach Moonshard from here, I don't know whether we can, but we should be able to destroy Mother of Stanka's main stack. Alright, let's see if we can do this. Ready for duty, Lich High Priest, good for you. Nemesis Crown, yeah, we're too far from the Empire to do anything about that. You are going to go for Sulfurets. You're going to colonize it, completing the province and allowing us to build stuff for cheaper via the worship of Fox. Hushin Coast, you are good now. Let's upgrade the Public Order Sepulchre here and the Sepulchre here. You, just in range, beautiful, alrighty, that's fantastic. What do we have in terms of defenses here? Minor settlement, but it might be the only time that we really fight the Kislevites, so it might be time to fight them. These guys aren't super friendly with us. Oh, our strategic threat got upgraded, eh? Who are you at war with? Scourge of Cain, Dreadfleet, and Seducers of Slaanesh. I'd like to stay friendly with these guys rather than attacking the donut, because frankly, it's a lot of yellow territory that we don't necessarily want. And what we do want to go, well, we have to return to Nehekara because it's our long victory objective. There's also a ton of Savannah in Cathay, so Cathay could be a potentially decent sort of place to go. Oh, they're trading with Mother Estanke. They won't like that. But anyway, if we ask you to join the war against the Scourge of Cain, that's a 5.0, and Seducers of Slaanesh, that's an 8.0, not quite enough. And the Dread Fleet, 11.0. Oh, just short of the non-aggression pact. Oh, man. We do a trade agreement. Still have to pay. And the Dread Fleet will be an issue because Grey Rock Point is undefended and here, but I guess we could just send Khatep out to deal with them. Frankly, these guys are would most likely break the trade agreement, but maybe... It's better than them attacking us randomly. Well, let's hope that this works out. Or we could wait. They're fighting 3 factions. What's the likelihood that they declare war on us right now? You know what? I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna say I'm willing to risk it. Especially if they lose a territory, it would be easier to just trade one away. Kind of like we did with the Wood Elves, who didn't particularly like us super much. Anyway, let's level you guys up and let's get into the fight. You are going to go for ceremonial bandages. You are going to do the same thing. Oh, you already have that. You are going to go through Canopic Jar Holder. I mean, I guess we could also go for magical. You know what? Let's get magical res. It's every turn, though. Alright, fine. Magical reserves and then Canopic Jar Holder. Earlier armies and all that stuff. Oh, actually, if we use the army generation, we can get another army without losing the research rate from this, which would be a decent option as well. Anyway, Mother Estanke, currently at war with our friends, the Heralds of Ariel. We will join your war. And you will give us a tiny bit of cash.
So be it.
And then, Book of Nagash 2, we'll hit the Moon Shard.
Touch me again, and you'll have icicles.
Like, so close victory, that's low casualties though. And what is this? Is this guy glowing like this? Spectre's my, oh, okay, yeah, that's Mother Estanke's ability. I'm wondering whether it's worth a fight. It says low casualty. Oh, I didn't even notice the army here. Oh! I'm gonna come in as a reinforcement. Since they're coming in as a reinforcement, it might be rare for us to fight sort of with combined ally units. Makes me tempted to do this. I guess the only issue would be if these guys if these guys then besiege Arnheim next turn, we won't be able to do the Necrotech thing that I planned. On the other hand, give it a try anyway. Huh, do these guys get another blessing every time you do that? Do we get another curse? I don't know, because it just switched to close victory and medium casualties after I did that. Maybe I should have been a little bit more careful. But anyway, we're gonna fight this combined arms and all that go. Back to good old-fashioned sacrifice them. Here we go. Tower looking just bizarre. But anyway, here we go. This is probably going to be the only opportunity we have to fight Kislevites. Probably for the entire campaign. I mean, I sincerely doubt we're going to sail all the way to the Ice Core just to fight them for pretty much no reason, especially considering they're all occupying territory that we don't want. So, we got to take advantage and fight them a little bit just to see a matchup we wouldn't oft see. Now, there's going to be a couple of issues in this battle. First of all, obviously the enemy tower, which is doing fairly decent damage already to our fragile, slow-moving, tight formation skeletal warriors. We will bring it down over time with our carrion, but, well, it'll probably get a few more shots off, at least. Now, we do also have curses on various units. Agony's Succession? Agony Succession on the Nehekar Horsemen here, which has dealt about maybe 20% of their HP and damage, and we'll probably have to actually get these guys off field rather than keep them there. The Sphinx of Usek, unfortunately, also has a curse that forces it to constantly take non-stop damage until it reaches 25% HP, which is not great, considering this is our elite most unit. That said, our Necrotech does have recovery now, or recover, whatever the healing ability on it is called, so we should be able to keep it on field for a while. And these curses are particularly dangerous for Tomb Kings who have units that will crumble away, so we'll definitely need to be careful. Anyway, Khatep and his priests are moving towards the enemy here. We've got the bombardment beginning with our Casket of Souls as well. Still just the one casket for now, but soon there will be more. And of course we do have our allies getting ready to move in. I also like how this particular Dark Elven city has a lot of other construction in the background, not just the fortress. We got towers up above and fading into the distance as well, another one up here. Very nice. Great atmosphere to the Dark Elven cities as well. I think after the Chaos Dwarf cities, which have the best sort of atmosphere, the Dark Elven cities look pretty fantastic. Probably the second best. Anyway, well, I mean, not counting the vampire cities because they're the best, but you know. Anyway, oh my lord, those poor armored Cossars just get completely run over by the Necropolis Knights. They take only about a third of their damage, as they do have enough armor to avoid this sort of thing. They are neither Skaven slaves, nor the Dark Elven units, or the Orky units, or, well, pretty much anything we've been fighting so far. They're more heavily armored is what I'm getting at. But we're also going to have to be careful. Because of the hybrid nature of all these units, we need to be charging in and then charging out with the Necropolis Knights, lest they take a lot of pistol and arrow fire. Pretty much the entire enemy army is able to fire at us. After all, just the nature of Kislev. And certainly dangerous for a unit like the Necropolis Knights, who have very large hitboxes and are very tall, so that the enemy guns can fire over each other's heads. Anyway, here comes the Sphinx of Usek, wading in and getting a few kills. Once again, not going to be as effective as a War Sphinx at this, but in past sort of campaigns, I do remember being periodically disappointed with the War Sphinx sort of underperforming, in the sense that the War Sphinx is supposed to be an infantry blender, and the Necro Sphinx is supposed to be an anti-single entity, but the Necro Sphinx does, like, I don't know, or at least it used to do, like, 80% of the infantry work as the War Sphinx, but also obliterate single entities, whereas the War Sphinx couldn't really hurt them at all. And for a time, there was no real reason to build War Sphinxes when you can just do Necro Sphinxes instead. Hopefully that isn't the case, but we'll experiment a little bit and see how it works out in this particular campaign. I'm very excited to return to the Tomb Kings and see the state of all their units. Plus, I never got the chance to try out the Tomb Barks, the flying chariots that they have, that they can build out of their harbors. And I'm excited to try out a few of those as well. Plus, there's sort of a support unit, as I understand, so that'll be pretty interesting. Flying missile chariot with support. We shall see. Anyway, our army has made it into the fray and our reinforcements have arrived. Ariel herself is moving on to the field, and by the looks of it is getting ready to cast a few spells. Do have to be careful of those, however, especially the dwellers below, as the AI will absolutely hit you with it. Alright, Sphinx of Usek right in the middle of the enemy formation. The enemy lord, a Boyar, getting hit with those Spirit Leeches. The spam never ends, and our chariots and our Necropolis Knights have run over the armored and unarmored Cossars in the back alike. We're using the sort of settlement buildings to screen the chariots and the Necropolis Knights, who are not thus getting focused down by enemy range and are freely able to obliterate isolated units of infantry. And spoiler alert, there was the Dwellers below, which does clip one of our units of skeletal spears, but it looks like not a particularly big deal. Otherwise, our reinforcement allies, our reinforcing allies are getting onto the field, but by the looks of it, we won't be getting too much value out of them, as we've almost overrun this particular settlement. Our summoned units of skeletal warriors drop. I wonder if they get desummoned. We need to pay attention next time they're up. I'm wondering if when they get desummoned, they count as deaths or not. 429 deaths. I think they do, because a skeletal spear unit has 160 units, right? We have not lost several units of skeletal spears worth, so it means when they get summoned, it does activate the Realm of Souls, which is really good, and thus another reason why that ability is probably superior to the explosion ability. Especially since with late game armies, unless you're using 2 stacks at once, you are going to have a difficult time activating that Realm of Souls. Anyway, get a few of the attack animations from Ariel before the battle ends, especially as the rest of her army is not going to make it. Well, they're providing a little bit of range support with us, but just a little bit too late as the entire enemy army enters by our blood, and by the looks of it, the battle is ours. The enemy Glade Lord has led a little bit of our cavalry into the fray. It's a good job to him for supporting the flanks there. And with that, the enemy army will shatter, by our blood will end, and the battle will be ours. Beautiful. Alright, there we go. Perhaps fighting with our allies wasn't so necessary or effective, as our allies did more damage to us with the dwellers below clipping one of our units of skeleton spears than the enemy did. Though the enemy's curses did plenty of damage to the Sphinx of Usek, one of the units of skeleton archers, and one of the units of Nehekar horsemen as well, though we were able to withdraw them off field, so no big deal there. Now, Ariel may have come in late, but a 10k damage did plenty. Well done. Well done. We'll take the place for ourselves rather than raising it. Probably only temporarily, because we still intend to trade, but we need to have at least one of these places. We can also even abandon one and then still get it up to tier 3. Then, what we'll do, after assigning a couple of skill points, really want that Skullstorm, but still inclined to say we max out the Lich Lord to tier so we can get Lich Priests at a higher level, especially since our second army is going to need them as well. Alright, so one more in there, then we go like this. And we auto-resolve Mother Ostankia, which shouldn't in theory destroy anything in our army. Good. And we will, I guess, Endless March to take the cache. Lovely. This gives us spell resistance for the army, targeting range for spells, and wins a magic power reserve capacity, all of which are nice. And ooh, Tomb Fleet Taskmaster as well, even more movement range. That worked out. That worked out nicely. Altharian, do you hate us? You're fighting the Broken Axe. If we join your war against the Broken Axe, still only a 5. Oh man. Gotta get friendly at least with some of the High Elves. They're all friendly with each other. Frankly, declaring war on all of these guys will make us friendly. What about all of them? Still not enough. All 3 and not enough. Just like with Ilariel. What about Lothar? Oh. Eotain, rather. They're undiscovered. Alright, well, we'll just try to hope that they don't declare war on us. I just really don't want to get bogged down out here when we have bigger fish to fry, bigger lizards to fight, etc., etc. Anyway, I do believe with that, we're ready to... No, not ready to end the turn. I lied. A Red Desert. We gotta build stuff. Let's get you the Mortiferous Sanctuary and the Grand... Ooh, actually... Are these even worth upgrading to the next tier? Yeah, they make a little bit more gold, but they don't actually do all that much more. Let's see what else we have. We can't build anything here, at least not until next turn, because we'll want to reduce the construction costs. Yes, we will, however, do the Ancient Battle Site here. And I guess we can wait 3 turns, so you can switch back to Worship of Asaph and get that Public Order Horizon. You... I guess start moving through the royal barracks, because we're going to want to use it to build more tomb guard, and we'll want to replace this one with something that can go up a higher tier. Like, we want an ancient pyramidion or whatever pyramidion up here ASAP, so this will probably be the place to do it. And then I guess the same thing here. We could build a chariot building and then replace you as well. Plus, temporarily get a few extra chariots and whatnot, as needed. And by the looks of it, with that, we're ready to end the turn, minus the super expensive Great Incantation of Tra. Let's hope that this works out. Go. Alright, you're on the field. If we raise Arnheim next turn, this will all work out nicely. Ooh, if these guys take Toran Rock, and then we move to take Toran Rock, and then we trade it to these guys, that would be nice. Minus 118, huh? Almost wondering whether... Okay, well, we'll see what happens next turn. Because what if we could trade Toran Rock to Alariel at tier 3 with a bunch of stuff? What's the likelihood she'd become a vassal? Vassalizing the entire donut would be great, if we don't get a war declaration upon us. Skip, skip, skip. Hero not moved. What? Oh, this guy, yeah, right. We got him 2 seconds ago, and yeah, okay, sure. I'm not used to heroes being movable on the very turn that they're recruited. Anyway, let's see if the Sisters of Twilight besiege Arnheim. Let's see what happens at Toran Rock. Let's see if the elves declare war on us, see if anybody else declares war on us. So, very interesting. And they will indeed besiege, meaning we may have to use it on the Moonshard if we want to vassalize the Wood Elves. Toran Rock hasn't fallen yet. I don't know if that rebel army... No, it's still besieging them. They might fail. Actually, by the looks of it, decent likelihood that they'll succeed. Undead Pirates. Rumor has reached us. Great. Great for the Undead Pirates. And Mightiest Fortress to upgrade any settlement building to level 5. A little early for that, considering we don't even have a tier 4 as yet, but we're working on it. Anyway, folks, with that, we are out of time, and I'm going to have to call the episode here. Next time, we will probably watch these guys take Arnheim, and then have to figure out either we take Moonshard or keep it, or attempt the whole Toran Rock thing with taking it at tier 3 and possibly trading it immediately back to Alariel. If nothing else, even if that doesn't allow us to vassalize her, we might be able to do military access, trade agreement, non-aggression, and money without having to declare war on anybody, which would be swell, as it would allow us to go after the lizards as we've been planning. Stay tuned for more Khatep. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.